It's been a little while, but we are back. And this time, we're going to try a few things differently. So, today, I really wanted to take a look at this roundtable. Of course, it's from Abby Phillips, CNN Newsnight. And they are talking about the price tag for this war that has been going on. And I mean, there is a serious deficiency here where people are not seeing what's going on. And there have been many reports about, how many war defenses that we're losing, such as aircraft, missiles, and things that we have used up. So, I mean, we're in the billions of dollars that we have already wasted. And now you have Pete Kegsbreath, who is trying to advocate for more and saying that we need more. But what am really thinking this is that they want the money to replenish what they've gotten rid of, so that way it doesn't look bad on them for wasting all of that stuff and getting absolutely nothing done. So, without any more further interruptions, let's go ahead and get started.
Tonight, the cost of war. Soon, President Trump could ask Congress for $200 billion to fund the war with Iran. But that's going to be a hard sell on Capitol Hill. Sources tell CNN that Republican leaders don't think they have the votes for it. Earlier, Trump defended that price tag, claiming that it's a small price of doing business.
Well, we're asking for a lot of reasons beyond even what we're talking about in Iran. This is a very volatile world, and the military equipment, the power of some of this weaponry is unthinkable. You don't even want to know about it. At the high end, we have a lot, but we're preserving it. We don't really need it, but we're building. We want to be sure, and it's a small price to pay to make sure that we stay tippy top.
I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. And I know we haven't even gotten to the debate yet, but I know this clip was taken from a little while ago. But hearing what he is saying now and understanding where we're at, this guy, he literally just lied and lied and lied and made up a bunch of useless words in order to prove his point. But he is already negating everything that he has already said. Just going to say that for right now. I'll let it get a little deeper and then we can explain.
Pete Hegseth was even more blunt with his assessment.
It takes money to kill bad guys. So we're going back to Congress and our folks there to ensure that we're properly funded for what's been done, for what we may have to do in the future.
Democratic Senator Ruben Gallego points out that it cost $140 billion a year at the height of the Iraq War to fund that conflict, adding that if the Pentagon is going to ask for $200 billion, they are asking for a long war. The answer is simply no.
I think that this is very important, and I think that a lot of us might not be have a recollection, playing well, because it was towards the early middle part of the year. It was already stated that there was that in December there will be a draft. So, I'm sorry if you are trying to end a war that you started as quickly as possible. You don't look at trying to have a draft towards the end of the year, and you're almost at the middle of the year, and you're already talking about at the end of the year you're going to do a draft. Like they wanted to sit there last year and say, "Oh no, it's not, no," and then finally they come and say, "Yeah, no, we're going to need it. Yeah, it's going to happen." So with that being said, we are sitting here looking at these people trying to move the goalposts so that they can get to that time. And really all their understanding is that they're looking at ground invasion. We're already losing, who knows how many people at this point. And they're not reporting on it at all because they don't want their followers, the MAGA followers, they don't want them to, sit there and say to themselves, "Oh, well, wait a second. Are we in the right here? Is that?" No. So let's just keep trying to say, "You know what? I'm going to do this ceasefire," which we all know is him just playing the markets. And a lot of things that we are not honing in on is that this guy he's playing the markets, but he's doing it at the expense of us. Not only my fellow veteran brothers and sisters, or actual active service brothers and sisters, but against the entire nation itself. Because there was no need for him to get into this. And now that he's in it, he doesn't know what he's doing. But for him, all he can see is, well, how can I make money off of this? So that's why, throughout the week, he'll make some big, oh my God, we got to do something crazy. Oh my God, they're going to pull into the ceasefire. They're going to pull into the ceasefire. They're going to do it. It's us that they're talking to, baby. We're going to make it right, baby. They're going to give us that ceasefire. And then over the weekend, as we have constantly seen over and over and over again. So you Magus followers, there's nothing you could say to defend this because we have been seeing this. Over the weekend, then he'll start recurring something so that by Monday, the markets have all been fixed. And that's him doing that. He's given his sons, they've all started these sham businesses so that they can go and collect our money off of this war. Like at this point, I would hope to understand why the phrase, war is money. This is a direct example of what they mean by war is money. Anyways, let's get back into it.
And Lydia, it's not just Congressman Gallego. Here's what Lauren Boebert said earlier today about this.
I will not vote for a war supplemental. No, I am a no. I've already told leadership I am a no on any war supplementals. I am so tired of spending money elsewhere. I am tired of the industrial war complex getting all of our hard-earned tax dollars. I have folks in Colorado who can't afford to live. We need America first policies right now, and that I'm not doing that.
So for Boebert to come out and say that, little Miss Bobo, that's what she had to say. You're doing something wrong. Just saying. Continue.
Lydia, isn't that what Trump ran on? I mean, he's already plussed up the DoD budget by 50%, $1.5 trillion for the fiscal year, and now $200 billion on top of that.
So first, what I'd say, fundamentally, the role of the government is to protect and defend its citizens. And the artificial intelligence, the weaponry that we're deploying is astonishing in what we're able to accomplish. That costs a lot of money. And it's also part of the reason that I think fewer men have lost their lives in this conflict. What I'd also say is that it's interesting that now Democrats are outraged about spending money on war. We spent $175 billion on Ukraine, a war we weren't even in. Nancy Pelosi rallied for it, said that it was a victory for democracy.
Well,
and
look,
everyone was thrilled to spend that again on Ukraine. Why not in Iran, a war that we're already in supporting?
Not in 1 year. Most of that month's a portion of that money, about 40% of it, hasn't even been spent. What you're talking about.
But this is a
3-week conflict that they have already. They've only told us they've spent $11 billion in 6 days. Now they're asking for $200 billion. I think it's not just Democrats, but it's Republicans asking. That's a burn ratio that is enormous, even for expensive conflicts.
Right. War makes strange bedfellows. Ruben Gallego and Lauren Boebert. I'm quoting Tulsi Gabbard. Things are going weird in 2026 for sure. But you have to ask yourself the question: if Trump says the war is going to end very soon, then what's the $200 billion for?
See, this goes back to what I was just saying. Now, I think Abby bringing out those statistics was a good thing. Although it falls on deaf ears when you get to the MAGA swallowers on the board, on the panel here. But I mean, to sit there and say that we giving aid to another country, they didn't say anything about us giving aid to another country, but us being in a war of choice with another country and asking for tons and tons, billions upon billions, billions and billions of dollars. We shouldn't say anything about that? One, we were trying to help a country actually fight for itself. whereas the other one, we're trying to destroy it and take everything from it. This argument was so disingenuous that I, I don't even know. And, the guy is talking right now, I understand his pushback on it and everything, but I think at some point in time, we do have to start questioning these people's, their mental capacity. Because you can't just get out there and equate those two things as if they're the same. One is helping, one is destroying. So I'm sorry, if I know that Ukraine is an ally, I'm going to help an ally because that reverberates in the future, because everyone else that is an ally can now point to something concrete to say, yeah, look, they stuck to what they were saying. They're the ones that are actually trying to help. We're going to actually follow behind them and we will support them. Not, hey, these guys are out here bombing these people that they shouldn't have done, following behind a dictator, Netanyahu, and saying, oh, yeah. We're going to do whatever he wants. But then, Netanyahu saying, well, this is all their war. It's all his. It's all his. But we're just going to go and murder everybody, though. But then we're going to say it's all him. Like, I mean, the amount of cognitive dissonance from a MAGA swallower that is a pundit is insane. Now, remember, you MAGA swallowers are coming from Fox. The people that spent $787 million, almost $1 billion, to settle a lie lawsuit. And we're supposed to trust that, right? We're supposed to believe everything that you say. And you're coming from a channel that had to almost spend $1 billion because they lied. Continue.
If the war is going to end very soon, then it doesn't cost $200 billion. And he gave us a hint. He said, oh, I want you to fund the next war. What's that one? Oh, it's Cuba. What are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to take Cuba. What does that mean? Don't worry about it. And
that's what maybe we don't want to telegraph to the enemy our exact timeline. Don't you think we want to signal to them that we don't have enough money?
I wish they would at least tell the president, because he doesn't seem to know how long this is going to take.
The problem is that MAGA stands for absolutely nothing. And let that radiate headlines across social media and everything else. You talk about America first, but you have people out here who cannot make ends meet. You have prices at the tank skyrocketing daily. You have American soldiers dying. And then you have the audacity to tell congresspersons that they're supposed to come back and vote for a $200 billion supplemental for a war we don't know how we're going to get out of, how much it's going to cost, or how many lives are going to be used and die as a result of something with no objectives. And so, yeah, I'm.
And then another war to be named later. Can we just take a one beat on taking Cuba? Does anyone care that we're going to take Cuba?
Well, let's let Scott answer your question or respond to all of that. Go ahead, Scott.
I just want to go ahead and prepare you now for one of the biggest bullshitters ever. And unlike most shows that will sit here and do the commentary and all that kind of shit and try to be nice, I'm not. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to put out a disclaimer already. I will be using words of choice because I cannot stand Scott Jennings. And I see a lot of people, want to try and be nice and all these kinds of things and always want to be like, oh, Scott Jennings, he's just dizzy. No, I'm going to attack this freaking turd. Okay? Because first off, how are you going to be on the... This is a common thing. It is a sheep hiding in wolf's clothing. Here is he's a bisexual man. Let's figure it. He's just a gay man who spends his time sucking up to a bisexual pedo who is also friends with a MAGA party filled with gay men who all of a sudden want to attack gay people and trans people. So I'm just going to put that out there to preface it, because everything that this guy says is absolute hogwash. I'm sorry, I had to put that out there, and I know a lot of people aren't going to like that, but it is what it is. Continue.
Things. Number one, I made a few phone calls to Capitol Hill tonight to some senior Republicans. I do think the president's going to get some support. I talked to Mitch McConnell, actually. He is the chairman of the Defense Subcommittee on Appropriations. He's going to support the president on it. A member of leadership told me they hadn't gotten the details. Nothing formal had been submitted, but it was going to get a thorough review. And in the House, interestingly, there's been a debate going on in the Republican conference about whether to do a reconciliation package, and they may use this supplemental request to jumpstart that. So it may not just be a defense supplemental that gets voted on. It could be other things that would be part of a larger.
Sure, but let me just add to that. Look, listen,
you're gonna have Lindsey.
listen. Be that as it may, the Republicans have a razor-thin majority in the House. So you've got Lauren Boebert. Here's Chip Roy asking, "What are we doing?" We're talking about boots on the ground. We're talking about the kinds of extended activity. They got a whole lot more briefing and a whole lot more explaining to do on how we're going to pay for it and what's the mission here. Thomas Massey says it begs the question, how long do they plan to be there? What are the goals? Is the first 200 billion, is this the first 200 billion? Does it turn into $1 trillion?
I don't know if you guys watch SNL, but I automatically thought about I can't think of his name right now, but the guy who does the Tucker Carlson impression. What's going on here? What are we talking about? What are we really doing? What is this all about? I'm just asking questions here. Oh, sorry. That is all I can think about when they started talking. I'm sorry. Continue.
So they have some hurdles to climb,
Yes.
and rightfully so, because $200 billion, just to be clear, is a lot of money. After the Afghanistan war, $825 billion over 20 years, okay? 20 years.
So they asked this year for 28 billion extra to pay for munitions. So, and we did need to improve the defense industrial base, but now we have gotten ourselves into so much more of a hole that we have to ask for $200 billion more. Now, I am not a peacenik here in any way. I think that we need to be prepared for war, and this war is making us less prepared for the real threats that we have. It's a war of choice, in my view, and we have just expended unbelievable amounts of the exact same weapons that we need to protect ourselves from China. So we're in this huge hole now. I don't know if it's a 200 billion hole, but just yesterday, the US debt reached $39 trillion. By October 1, it will be $40 trillion. By doing this, we are adding to our huge budget deficit and our huge debt. And this is
the
a
vast
war of
majority
choice.
I find it interesting, though, that they are not including how much money has been wasted on artillery and whatever warfighters we have had that we have lost. They're not even throwing that in there. So, yeah, they're asking for the 200 billion here, but I mean that 200 billion, that barely covers, that just about covers what was lost. And then to really sit down and think about this holistically, as she was saying, that really puts us in a bind that we have lost all this, because at the end of the day, you can have, all right, so we know that Russia is feeding the IRGC information on how to get to us. We know that China is doing the same thing. And I find it just is mind blowing because Trump has gone and either hosted or has been to them and tried to buddy with them while they're doing this to us. Like just a complete slap in the face. But I find that it's par for the course because he doesn't care about America at all. So it doesn't matter to him. All he sees is how do I grow my wealth? How do I get more? And how do I go after and attack everyone that is calling me out for what I'm doing? Everyone that I feel a grievance for. This person over here sneezed one time and I didn't like it. So I want them to go. I want them to be deported. That's who we're talking about here. But I think that it's very important that we keep reminding ourselves of what we have lost. Because once again, they said that 200 billion is what they're asking for. Well, now that was 245 billion that was lost in weapons and artillery and aircraft and things of that nature. And we just lost 5 more jets. I think it was just yesterday. We just lost 5 more jets that they took out. So at this point, I'm wondering: is this money to cover up things so that you don't like people don't want to look into it because oh well yeah everything was destroyed but we still got all that money back yeah see yeah we didn't really do anything and then quietly try to build and do these other things like I I just don't understand how that works. And now to sit here and hear that you've got like Scott Jennings over here who was trying to say well we needed all that we this isn't even this isn't even like a guaranteed thing, so I don't know why you're really bringing it up. Why are you crying over it? That's fucking yeah.
That is because of entitlements. Like, let's be
No,
very
vast majority
clear.
of
Not
that is from
necessarily.
interest payments.
It's also from.
And interest
It's also
payment, but
from.
it's
$1
defense
trillion
budget
But also,
is
Lydia,
about 10
it's
to
from
15%
tax
of the
cuts
budget.
that have not been paid for since the Bush administration. It's from spending that has not been paid for by either Republican or Democrat administrations.
last
I mean,
time you
It's from
the government
entitlement.
accountability
It's from
office
entitlement
says
reform
we may spend
that
as much as
has.
$500
Hold on.
billion
It's from entitlement
on fraud
reform
each
that
year.
has. We are talking about trillions of
No,
dollars.
I'm
We're
aware.
not talking
I'm
about
just
billions of dollars.
saying
We are talking
that
about trillions
the
of
when you
dollars.
look at
We're
all
talking
the
about
fraudsters that
more.
come from
We're
Wall
talking
Street.
about
more
more
than
in
just
interest
defense here
payments.
at
Do
play.
not
We are
want
talking about
deal
more
with
in
that.
interest payments than anything else that we pay for. So again, she's making a good point that when we have, as a nation, choosing what we do with our money, that's what Lauren Boebert's talking about. That's what Donald Trump, by the way, was talking about when he ran for president in 2016. And he said we should be spending our money at home, not on regime change in the Middle East. Literally last year in the Middle East, he went to Saudi Arabia and he talked about no more regime change. And what a year it has been, because here we are ousting Venezuela. We are trying to engage in regime change in Iran and
This
maybe
is a
in
really
Cuba
good thing.
too.
So, MAGA swallowers, I really want you guys to think about this when you're out here trying to spout your lies because you think you're so right. This is the guy that said no new wars. So now I'm guessing to you, regime change doesn't mean war. Overtaking a country through force, that's not war. Oh, it's an excursion, right? That's what this is. It's just an excursion. Yeah, we're just going out there to go and bomb these people and take what they got. It's just a Saturday night, baby. Hey, ain't nothing to worry about. Like, how do you, how can you justify what you were trying to say? This guy ended all these wars, but yet he's starting all these wars. And what wars did he actually end? I know that they say in Pakistan, oh, well, if it wasn't for him, it wouldn't be. Yeah, okay, bullshit. Show us how did he actually avert a war or a crisis, whatever. How did he stop any of these? And what are all these wars that he said he stopped? He will never name them. He'll just go off and say, oh, let me just pick out some countries. Ands in India, Pakistan, Kyrgyzstan, and he just pulls stuff out of his ass. Wherever he's traveled, he apparently he ended the war wherever he traveled to. But yet he invaded Venezuela. He's trying to. He invaded Iran, and now he is fully aware that he is trying to invade Cuba. And what he is doing is creating a humanitarian crisis, basically starving them of all of their basic needs to survive, in order to say, "Well, look, all this is wiped out. We might as well just go ahead and move in. Yeah, we're going in to move in aid. And that aid is actually, we're going to go and wipe everything clean and then we're going to make it ours. Yay. Get fucked.
Are there principles? I'm going to go back to
regime.
Bakari's
We didn't
question.
change the regime
Let me go
in
back to
Venezuela.
Bakari's
Yeah, we
question.
didn't change the regime in Iran either.
Are there
Yeah.
are
So we're
there
0 for 2 on
are there
regime
MAGA
change.
principles, or is it just what Donald Trump feels like doing?
But I'm not. You got to do better, baby girl. You got to do better. These fools just walk all over you and it's your show. Like, don't take that crap, bro. Put your foot down. I've seen people come in and stand up, stand in for you while you were out. And they ain't cutting no slack on anybody. There's a video that I'm going to do later on where, yeah, they ain't taking no shit from nobody. Abby, you have got to start putting your freaking beautiful foot down. I don't like feet, but I imagine because of the rest of you it must be too. weird. I know. I don't like feet, but just saying for the contents of what I'm saying, the context of what I'm saying. Hey, you've got to put your foot down and not let these turds just walk all over you. Just saying. Just saying. Continue.
On any given day.
Well, if you ask Donald Trump, he's called out Marjorie Taylor Greene and people who disagree with him saying, I am MAGA. So that's his definition. MAGA is very supportive of this war. And that's, I mean, it's really a following of Donald Trump. That's he invented it.
Tangibly, one of the things we talked about in the break, and tangibly, I just want to highlight this because I think it's important, is you have farmers right now because of this war that are paying a higher price for fertilizer. And you know more about this than I do. And diesel, right? And so we're not talking about some esoteric ideal, right? And when you have people just a month ago, we were on this show arguing about subsidies, year-long subsidies for the Affordable Care Act so people could have access to health care, right? So that we could actually fill gaps in Medicaid, so that we could expand health care, those type of ideals. But then you tell me that we have enough money to fund a war that we're not sure objectively how we get out of it.
So I would say, look, I would like to see more clear messaging from the White House. I would like to see him address the American
commercial
people.
break now.
What I also want to say, though, is I speak with a lot of folks in the defense tech space. This is really a strategic moment when we talk about the adoption of AI. China is looking at exactly what we're doing. And so they see this as an investment. We're trying to reshore more manufacturing facilities here to the U.S. We can produce more as a deterrent. So I would say this is sort of a seminal moment when you think about technology and defense, and I think it's important in this time.
For sure.
Yeah,
in America that you're trying to show up as American stuff are these data centers. Like, quite frankly, you're investing more in data centers than actual anything that is supposed to help the American people. He kept talking about, we're going to bring in businesses. We're going to bring in businesses. Well, if you're bringing in only one business, these data centers, which is destroying the lands, killing the people around it, killing the wildlife and everything else, how are you really doing anything? How are you bringing American business back? Like, where could American business go? And then on top of that, if you're doing all these data centers and stuff like that, that's going to start taking away jobs from people. So now how do you fill in for all of that? I mean, let's face it, you knew you stepped in it, where now you've got all of your billionaires leaving the country. Teal and all these other guys, they have left the country and decided to take up residence elsewhere. Now, I know that it's for a nefarious plan because they are sitting here and they knew exactly what they did was going to destroy everything. So they wanted to sit back and wait until the rubble clears, or the fog of smoke clears, or the fog of war clears. And then they're going to come marching back in and say, hey, we're here. Because remember now, you got Teal, the Antichrist lover, who says that, we got to destroy it all in order to rebuild. But getting back to this, I mean, I'm just like, I find the whole argument that, Trump says that, we're going to, he's going to bring back, manufacturing to America. What has he done so far? And like, I'm a little nervous because here in my state, you have the Appalachians running through my state, and they have just found lithium deposits in that. And now for me, I know that means my state is going to be destroyed completely. Like, we are losing the country. I mean, if you really want to put it that way, we're losing our country. And it's not to the people, it's to the billionaires. It's to the corrupt politicians. It's to everyone else that has some stake in writing policies. And, I think some of the greatest things that I've ever heard is, asking the question, what policies does Trump actually have? And people are like, oh, well, his bringing back jobs and it's deporting people. Those aren't policies. Those are actions, feelings, wants, desires. That's not actual policy. There is no policy or EV or executive or EO executive order that he has put out that is actually to help the American people. I take that back. He only did one thing. That was decriminalizing drugs. That's it. Other than that, everything that he has done has been in the efforts and the sources of trying to ascertain more money for himself, and by proxy, it just gives everybody else money, not us, all the other billionaires, because trickle down is a lie. It's a trickling down lie. It's just pissing on your forehead and telling you you're at a waterfall. That's all. Well, anyways, pretty much, guys, this is the end of it all for this episode. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. If you do find any value in anything that is said, please, by all means, just hit that like button, hit the follow, subscribe, whichever app that you're on and you're watching this. And, just by all means, man, if you're watching somebody, it doesn't take much to just hit that like button. It really does a lot for these channels, not just mine, but for everyone else that is out here actively putting out content. There needs to be a way that we can show them how much we appreciate it. And yeah, I have merchandise, link in the bio, but what helps me the most is the sharing, the liking, and subscribing. That's it. And it's all free. It's literally just and doing it. So once again, thank you all for being here. I will be back again and we will have more to talk about. So until then, I bid you all adieu.